So I'm doing another life story, and today I'm going to still be talking about being in Kansas. I remembered another story that we had when we were there, and because I haven't gone around and done any videos, I guess I'm just talking to you straight to the camera, which is a little awkward for me, but anyway, so we're in Kansas. I don't remember how old I was exactly at the time that this happened, but anywhere from probably 1 to 7, because we left there when I was 7, and I had my 8th birthday in the house that got flooded. So my parents must not have had a whole lot to do, but they decided to be storm chasers. That's what I always think, because I'm like, personally, me, and maybe it's just a thrill or whatever, but I'm too much of a scaredy cat to be a storm chaser of any sort. I like to watch it though. So anyway, I remember my mom and dad both tell me this story, and they were going along and following this tornado. So they were like near it, by it, they seen it ahead of them, and my dad had gone to the gas station and filled up right before they left, and he was going along, and all of a sudden there's other people in front of him, and there's the tornado is like they're following it, and all of a sudden he looks down and he's like, we have to go get gas. And my mom was like, we just filled up. He's like, I know, but look at the gas gauge, it's empty. So they go find a gas station and fill up their gas tank, and I don't know if it was far away or if it was just along the side of the road or how far they had to go. They come back and they're going along, and they come across where they were following the tornado, and somehow that tornado must have whipped back. They must have been really close to it, whipped back, and unfortunately the car that they had been behind was all over the road everywhere. They didn't see anybody or anything. Nobody knows like what happened, but my dad and my mom was like, oh my word, like we would have been right there, right behind him when the tornado came back. And they were saved that day. And me and Matt were in the car, so it would have been our whole family. And somehow God was just like, nope, no more gas, like gotta go find gas. And it's just one of those God things, and it's just amazing to me. My parents would tell me that story, and I would just be like, oh my word. Scary, the fact that they were storm chasers, but the Lord just saved them. So this is a short story episode day. So another time that we were in Kansas, there was a really bad, maybe this is a tornado story, but there was a really bad tornado happening, and we went outside. My dad was like, come on, let's go out here and look. Of course, I was scared because I was a scaredy cat, and I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be outside when it's storming, but I went anyway because I was so curious that I just decided to go. And we were standing by the house, and we were on the side of the calm, and we were looking out over my grandpa's pasture, and as the storm was like, it was pretty close, like the other side of where the storm actually was like rumbling and going crazy was not really very far away from us. And we were looking on the calm side, and it was like this green hue, like, and it must have been kind of like that rain wrap look, but we were completely dry, and there was just this storm on that side of it. And so this was my dad's scenario, and I'm not a believer, so I don't really believe in aliens. No, they've never bothered me in my life. They've never been a part of my life, so I have a hard time believing in them. But I can see where my dad got the whole story. And of course, when I was young, I was like, oh, absolutely. That's exactly what happened. I don't really believe that anymore. But so, inside the green and inside, there was like a very bright light. It was so bright in there. And you couldn't really tell what was happening or what was going on, but it was just super bright inside, where I believe probably the tornado was, and whatever was going on in there, it was just end up being really bright. So my dad was like, the aliens came down inside there, and there was a glow, because I remember the glow. And so we were just like looking through it. It was super windy on the other side. It was calm on ours. And it was just such a strange like feeling, and it did give you like goosebumps. I remember feeling like, oh, this is so strange. And so then afterwards, my grandpa had went out into the field, and afterwards he said that one of the cows, I'll tell you my grandpa and my dad's scenario, which they both were very, very, there's aliens, absolutely 100%, like you could never make them think otherwise. So there was cows in the field, lots of them, of course, and one of the cows my grandpa found, it looked like nothing was wrong with it other than it was dead. But nothing else was wrong with it. It wasn't like, destroyed. Didn't look like anything like ate it or hurt it or anything. It was just laying there, and its eyeballs were missing. So I don't really understand that. But Gus was just telling me that he knows somebody who shot like a gun near a deer or something, and it just like, it didn't even actually hit it completely, but the eyeballs were gone. So maybe that's what happened. Like the lightning came down. That was what the brightness was all about. There was tons of lightning, and the lightning struck near the cow, and it, knocked the eyeballs out. I don't know. But anyway, that was another story that my dad was absolutely, there was aliens. He also would read the Bible, and there's a spot I'll have to find it. There's a spot in the Bible that talks about aliens, which is talking about like if a foreign person comes into a land, to a different land, they're an alien. But that was proof to him that there was aliens. My dad read the Bible all the time, and I think often, like when he did, it would get misinterpreted. Like, so even this one time, we were coming to New Hampshire to visit family. My dad was like talking to Gus, and he was like, so what you need to do is make sure you bring everything that you really care about, because there's not going to be a Washington, Oregon left. That whole side, the whole West Coast is going to be gone. And Gus was like, how is that going to be? Like, where did you get that from? And he goes, oh, it's clearly in the Bible, in Psalms. And so he was reading a Psalms to him, and he was like, see, this Psalm clearly states that this is going to happen right now, this year. And Gus was like, I don't think so. those weren't the words that he used. He was like, you are full of, my dad didn't like that so much. But that was my dad. Like, that was kind of how he was all the time. He was, you had to take what he said just like with a grain of salt, I guess, because it was always a little bit like fortune telling maybe, or had a little bit of like things that you just knew were not right. So this next story is set the scene camping. I'm not a camper. I don't like camping, and it's probably because most of my life camping, something bad always happened. Gus and I ended up camping in, was it North Dakota? In North Dakota at, not because we wanted to, but because he got a job up there, and it was, you had to live in a tent in a camping ground, or you had nowhere else to live, and that was not fun. And it wasn't like, I mean, it was an experience, but it wasn't like great at all. So when I was young, my dad loved camping. He loved to go camping and be in the woods and everything, and we mostly only camp by tent. And he liked to go to the Steens Mountains. Now, I don't know if you know what the Steens Mountains are like in Oregon, but they're actually kind of cool. Like, if you ever go there, there is hot springs. So there's lots of hot springs there. So it's like a hot tub just out in the middle of nowhere. And I think sometimes they have signs. I don't know, my dad seemed to know where they were. There was one of his favorite places to camp was this place on the side of the mountain where you had to sometimes, like, or maybe it was all the time. Anyway, this is all I remember. Going around that mountain to the place where he wanted to camp, and the road had washed away on a certain side. And so when you had to have like your car, and we had like a trailer with all our camping stuff in it, like one of those, open top like trailer things that you just like set stuff all over it and put stuff in and tie down stuff. I think he used a tarp or something. And he had to be like really close, almost like touching. You could touch the bank on the side if you open the window. And the like one wheel would be like totally off. I mean, that was my dad's like excitement to camp somewhere like that. I don't know why. But so we're up there, we're camping, we set up all of our tents, we get everything adjusted how we wanted. Of course, we're not by anybody. My dad never liked to camp near people. So we're completely by ourselves. And unfortunately, my mom and my brother were getting, figuring out where to have the fire and getting the fire ready, going. Well, they accidentally got the fire too close to some dry, I don't know, they were like bushes, kind of. They were like growing up everywhere. They're like really stickery bushes that were like super dry. It's like deserty over there. And it was hot. There was a hot summer, and the where they built the fire ended up catching those bushes on fire. Well, parts of this were literally like could be in a movie. There was the thing happened, like literally happened, where my dad couldn't get the car started because there was a propane tank in the back, because this fire took off fast. It went everywhere. It was going down the hill. It was completely like surrounding our camp. They were like rushing to take all the sand that was around and pour it on the fire because there really wasn't anything else we could do. We didn't have like a ton of water. There was some water, but not like enough to put out the fire. So they were taking the dirt, and they had shovels, and they were shoveling this dirt and sand all on the fire as fast as they could go. I remember my mom, my dad, my brother were all doing this. And I was at times like got so scared, I just sat in the car and I was praying and crying. And so there was that time my dad, there was a propane tank. The fire was getting close to the propane tank, and it was like so close, scary close. He had me get out and go on the other side. It was so smoky, it was hard to breathe. I remember it like back in my throat, like the smell of it, and how it was just fire everywhere. I felt like there was not a spot that wasn't fire. And my dad tried to start the car, and tried to start the car, and tried to start the car, and the car wouldn't start. And it worked just fine when we got there. And so then, just like at the nick of time, the car started, and he just pulled the car out and away from the fire. And there was a lot of screaming and chaos, and, get this fire, and, it came back over here, and like running and getting the fire out. There was one point where my mom and I started walking down this hill and yelling for help because we didn't know what else to do. And we were praying to God, and I remember my mom like just praying out loud, and I remember just screaming for help. There was nobody anywhere. And that fire like went down the hill to where, there was nothing we could do about it. So if there was some sort of forest fire, or I don't even know what year it was, but that fire just took off, and it went down the hill, and it kept going, and who knows where it ended up. But yeah, that was us. We were like actually caused like this huge fire. Who knows where it stopped or what happened. It's terrible, but we like did the best we could to get rid of the fire. But what do? I remember waking up, and I was so scared because I heard my mom screaming, and she had ran over to my brother, who had been working on the fire all the way through the night, and he must have just fell asleep, like passed out. He was like full of smoke, and his skin was like black, and she ran over to him. I remember waking up and being in the car and just climbing out as fast as I could because she was screaming, thought my brother had died, because he was face first, like in the ground, basically. And that's all I remember, just seeing him on the ground. And she was freaking out. And he was okay, but just scary, Anyway, to this day, I don't like camping. I don't want to go camping. It like triggers only bad memories. Feels like. And then when we had to camp, I didn't like it. I made the most of it, and I just, did what you got to do. I had to make like little fires every morning. It was raining a lot when me and Gus and the kids, Selena would read to us that, like, I don't know. It was, of course, a way better story, and I mean, Gus was making a lot of money, and we lived in a tent. And the kids don't like camping either, though. I mean, that was traumatic for them somewhat. The crazy thing is Selena would be like, Selena was over here, and I was in the middle, and Gus was here. And then we had another mattress, and Eric and Joshua were over here. And we would, in the morning, the boys would go out. They would like gather firewood and whatnot, and we would wash ourselves up best we could with like wipes like they use for, like old people or whatever. And the boys had to use the girls' bathroom too, so we had to share the bathroom because the boys' bathroom it was like really disgusting. Like nobody would ever want to go in there even. It was so gross. And I won't tell you how gross. It was just horrible. So we all had to share the same bathroom, which was an outhouse, which didn't have a light. So if you wanted a light, you had to bring your cell phone. It was raining really bad, and there was a river. And so the river was rising. And as I was sleeping, because I would hear that, I would have dreams that the tent floated away, we floated away on the mattresses. And there was times I like slept in our truck because I was like, no, I can't. Me and Selena would sleep in the truck. We would wake up, and one of our mattress had a little bit of a hole in it, so it would sink down. And Selena being over here and me here, and Gus would have to get up and go to work. He would like stand up and the whole mattress would go like this, and me and Selena were crawling out from each other in the corner of the tent, which was soaking wet. Our hair would be wet even though we had a tarp over our tent. And there was times like I love my coffee, and so I would we had a little camp percolator thing, and we had a little like gas stove thing. So I figured out how to do the percolator on the little camp stove, and I knew how to put the new ones on, and I could do it all. It was an experience, but I had really good coffee. We had like really good meals. We didn't just eat hot dogs and hamburgers. I mean, they, can't even eat that. Most of the time we would have like this rice and meat dish with a salad thing, which I still actually kind of like. It was just really good. I don't know. And we had some really good meals there. Like I said, Gus made good money, so our food was fine. We also often had to go to Williston to do our we were both in college at that time, and so we had to try to stay up on our studies in our college, and so that was quite the deal. And we would just go to McDonald's, and the kids would hang out there, and everybody could use Wi-Fi, and otherwise, we didn't have any of that. So we were in the tent, and there was a time that I was like, Joshua, where's the firewood? Because there was like one of his things that he liked to do is get all the firewood. And we were the only people that stayed at this campground, which was weird. There was another campground, but it was closer to the city, and everybody was there. It was like during the oil field boom. It was 2011, and we and Gus, like I said, had a really good job there. So anyway, Joshua went all around, and there was no sticks left. So I was like, we have no more firewood, hon, because there's no sticks left in this park. And we had taken them all, so thank goodness we didn't have to share that park with anybody else. And there was definitely a God thing that happened. All of a sudden, we were So we had talked to some of these people. I don't remember where we met these people or how they came about. Do you remember how we met those people? Were they sitting in the park or something?
Could have been. I don't remember.
Yeah. So they were going to fix up this bus that they had. We had went to their house, and it was a pretty old house. These people had, I remember they had a lot of books. I don't know why I remember. Just tons of books they had. But they had this bus, and they were going to fix up this bus so we could live in it. And we were going to help them because it was much better than living in a tent and getting rained on all the time. So we were all planning on that, and then all of a sudden somebody from Gus's childhood came, Copenhagen, to our park somehow and was like, hey Gus, I heard you were here. And it was such a blessing. We ended up getting to stay at a house. Do you remember what the city was? I don't remember the name of the little town that we stayed in. It was a super cute little town. We walked to the library that wasn't open very often. We went to a little park there. The people were really nice that we stayed at. His name is Mark. And he went on a bicycle ride with my son, and just really like such a godsend. We were able to stay in the house and not have to be in the tent, and life was much better. Were you going to say something?
Yes. The Copenhagen did not know we were there. It was just by chance we met.
Oh, so he didn't know we were there.
No.
He just came to the park?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. And it's such a weird park for anybody to go to, really.
Yeah. Because it wasn't really near where the people were.
Yeah.
That we knew that were there.
Right. Yeah, we weren't near anybody. Oh, and remember there was another thing about that. So one night we were just so sick of being in the tent, so we decided to go and try to see if we could get a hotel, because all the hotels were being taken up. And everybody was like, even the apartments, I mean, this was really sad. Like some of the oil companies would just make people move out basically and put all their guys in there, and that way they would have apartments, but there was nowhere to live or nowhere to stay. And so we were kind of in a line to go stay at a motel. I don't remember where that motel was. Do you?
I think it was Billings. No, it was not. Miles City, I believe.
Miles City
is where we ended up staying.
And we walked in there, and there was somebody walked in right behind us, and we were like, is there any way we can get a motel for tonight? And they were like, yeah, we have one left. Somebody just walked out. And we were like, oh, thank goodness. And I felt bad for the people behind us, but I was so thankful just to be able to take a real shower and stay in a motel and have a nice bed that I could like actually sleep. It was wonderful. But yeah, being able to go to Mark's house, that was so awesome. God's always there, and he always cares, and he just the little miracles that happen in your life, sometimes you don't really think about it, but we've had quite a few. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will be back next week.